Hi, welcome back. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about some of our characters, and I would go with the two main protagonists, who are JT Austin and Davra and JT. Um, One of my betas told me that Davra is the Arya Stark of the series, and I suppose that's an apt description. She starts out as basically an academic wannabe on the night the Gelt invade in Children of Amargosa. The first time we see her, she's being shot out of a space station that's exploding. Uh, Lands in a pond, somehow gets away from a bunch of terrified settlers, and goes on this big adventure. Eventually, she's considered the brains of the group. She is um, second wave. She ends up killing a former war criminal who's attempting to rape a prisoner. It eventually turns out to be Tishla, um, and is exiled from the group. Um, Exiled from most of our meddling kids. Actually, it's all our meddling kids, minus one who's apparently been kidnapped by the wolf-like lycans. Uh, Davra gets captured by the Gelt, becomes their prisoner for a few weeks, and then escapes with a very high-value prisoner, which is Laurel Umish's wife, who helps her escape, since Umish is never going to win Husband of the Year award. The guy's pretty much a bastard. But aren't all the Laurels? Um, in Storming, it is pointed out to her that she has escaped some consequences of some rather controversial actions of hers because she's the brains of the group. She is the smart one. And she wants this invasion, this occupation over with. When that looks like it's finally in reach, she goes along on this mission to confront Lucius Cray. To her, Cray is the one that's holding up the works. He's not playing nice with the rest of the resistance, and Children of Amargosa, he was killing any human that got in his way. Um, you're seeing in this book a lot more cooperation from civilian Gelt than you are seeing from Cray. And I suppose she is the Arya Stark. She shoots a gun. She learns that she can shoot better than she thought she could. She is the one that discovers that, yeah, Cray's gonna blow up gonna blow up the one remaining intact city uh, in human inhabited uh, in the human inhabited region of Amargosa, and she's also the one that during the final battle you have the fleet admiral and Tishla in her actual role as first citizen of Hanar have managed to plant themselves in harm's way, and she's the one that lures Cray away from that, warns Tishla about the bio weapon that can melt a Gelt in seconds. Whereas a human who gets hit with the same bullet just has to worry about bleeding out. Well, pressure bandage. Um, and she even plays an instrumental role in taking down Lucius Cray, who makes the mistake of taking her hostage. So, Davra is actually the catalyst for how Gimme Shelter came about. Her original storyline, Gimme Shelter was originally the first 10 chapters of Children of Amargosa. So it almost became this big, long thing that I don't think anybody would have wanted to read. JT's story is relatively intact. I mean, there's a few changes in there just because, I wanted to focus more on him and Lizzie, and I'll get to that in a moment. But Davra's storyline up until that 11th chapter was boring as hell. And it didn't get interesting until her dad shoves her in a life pod and says, "Stay safe. If I gotta launch you, go get the safety." And that made a hell of an intro. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, this was real trailer material where you see a 14-year-old black girl get thrown into wow, that's noisy. Thrown into a life pod, shot out into space, and then she watches the station explode, and she's an orphan. So I think from there, Davra's been all about action, even though she's probably the most intellectual one of the group. The other one is JT Austin, and JT was based actually on a fanfic character I used to read, and I actually kind of recycled that original character in Flight Blade. He was like JT. He was he grew up well-connected and, powerful family, and big things were expected of him. And I use some of that backstory, but JT doesn't go through quite the same thing. My character was sent to the academy sent to the military academies to get seasoned, goes through a war, gets wounded, and suddenly becomes the guy that makes life a living hell on all the points, which is a term I stole from Galaxy's Edge, or the children of the rich kids. Well, they put him with him. It's like you're going to go shine that guy's boots. Well, he's a hillbilly from Javiva. Yeah, and you're going to go clean his boots. He's your lieutenant commander. Deal with it. JT, on the other hand, is one of those guys he'd make shine the boots, but instead of ending up in the academy, he gets stranded on Amargosa, and it's Gimme Shelter is about him getting humbled. And suddenly, instead of this gilded cage that he lives in, his home is a farming planet. And he has very much fallen in love with the farmer's daughter. So that is the whole catalyst for his arc. Obviously, he loses Lizzie in Children of Amargosa. He somehow gets out of defying orders in Second Wave by being basically a better man than he was in the beginning of the story. Protecting Tishla with his own life, offering to kill himself along with her to keep her from being captured, and fleeing the planet with suicide, was becoming more and more a surrogate mother to him. So when he comes to Storming, he is taking his battlefield experience and trying to train civilians on Hanar to be fighters like he was. And he's just as impatient in Storming Amargosa as he was in Second Wave. But also, he has been taught to fly the ship. He's learning to fly. He learned a little bit of that as he escaped Amargosa at the end of Second Wave. And so now here he is on Hanar. He has developed a very huge crush on Tishla. And even Tishla herself is kind of bewildered. It's like, my late husband and I got conned into starting this invasion, which makes me somewhat responsible for Lizzie's death. That's her thing. And she's like, so why are you so enamored with me? But he is. I think what it is, JT is just attracted to kick-ass women. There's a later story I wrote where he gets all dreamy-eyed over a fighter pilot who damn near clips the shuttle he's piloting. I'm going to have to learn to move the breakables before I actually record one of these. Anyway, so that is pretty much JT and Davra in a nutshell. They are the protagonists, and that is... they are what this story is about. I'll be back in a few, talk about the villains. Make sure you get your questions into me. I'm going to do a Q&A video later this afternoon. And also, answer my questions.